Do you think you need advanced English to speak fluently? Think again. In this video, I will show you that you can communicate confidently without complicated grammar or big words. Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Monvie. So let's get started. What is advanced English? Advanced English is almost the same English but more difficult and complex, furthermore not that frequently used in day-to-day life. And I have a logic question for you. Why do you need it if it's used that rarely? As for me, 98% of the time, I don't speak in advanced Ukrainian. I need it for communication. So I use basic words, basic grammar. I don't even think about this. A lot of people say that they want to learn advanced English and get that C1. But in most cases, they struggle with explaining that. For what do they need that? When you ask them, they can say, I don't know, maybe to speak fluently and understand natives. Meantime, these people already can communicate fluently, they understand others, but just because someone said to them that if you don't know advanced English, something is wrong with you. Like, no, you should learn those 50 ways how to say good. To be honest, most of natives don't even know those fancy ways, like fancy words from advanced vocabulary, because they don't use them in day-to-day life. But you learn them on language courses or you were learning them at school, and you can't even respond why were you doing that. Advanced English for me, it's like a completely different language that is rarely used, like Latin language for example. And if you still want to learn it, that's okay. Like, there is nothing bad in leveling up your English skills, but you need to answer this small question: why do you need it? Because in most cases you already have all the tools for fluent communication with others, for comprehension. But firstly, because you're afraid, you're just staying in your comfort zone. You don't want to speak to natives. And secondly, you're just postponing this process of practice because you understand that, yeah, you can do this, but I know that I can do better. It's good when you think like this, but when you postpone action, it's not good. Yeah, because you're just waiting. Advanced English, it's not only about those big words, but also about advanced grammar. So as you can understand, you'll spend quite a lot of time on figuring all this out. If you think that you need advanced English for better communication, I don't want to upset you, but that will be quite useless, as you can already talk to people, you can understand them perfectly. And like usually people who already have B1 level, B2 level, they still need this advanced English for communication. I'm not talking about job, passing exams and all this stuff. Yeah, there you need that C1, C2, but for daily communication, for what? Do you just want to waste your time? I think it's better to go and learn one more foreign language than spending your time on learning something that you will never use. After learning that 1000 new advanced words and learning every single rule from grammar, unlikely something will change. Most of the time, natives use those usual basic phrases in day-to-day life because it's easier and it's faster. You don't need to explain your point of view for 10 minutes with all those fancy words. As the conclusion to this part, if you need advanced English for work or any formal conditions, of course you should learn it. But if you want to get advanced English just for daily communication, think twice. Basic versus advanced English. I'm sure you came across plenty of videos like this. For example, 10 ways to say instead of good. And there you're supposed to learn all of them. And during conversation, you have to use a new synonym, as you can't say very twice. It can be like this. Oh, I've already used good, so now I'm supposed, okay, I will say well and then I will say great, but I forgot all other synonyms. What am I supposed to do? Do you really think that it will be like this? To be frank, natives use that good and very much more often than other synonyms. Why? Because it's easier and faster. Plus, natives don't have to prove to anyone that they are advanced. If you can speak fluently, even without that advanced vocab, it's already enough. And daily communications are about flow, but plenty of people forget about that, and their conversations just turn into a battle. Who will say the most progressive word, the meaning of which no one knows? As you can see from the previous example, you don't need advanced English in everyday situations. If you need to find a bathroom in the restaurant, you will not recall all that advanced vocab to impress a person whom you will ask, and at the same time to find that bathroom at the end. So, all this advanced English was created just for exams, for this system of education. But in daily life, it's really useless. Natives will be not surprised that you used wonderful, stunning instead of beautiful. Like, okay, and what? They just make a language work for them. And you should do the same. You can absolutely be fluent without advanced vocab and advanced grammar, as the main point of fluency is good comprehension and the ability to respond to another person. And no matter whether you use advanced vocab or just simple words, school versus real-life English. I can say that English at school and in real life, these are two completely different types of English. And the only one thing that they have in common is basics of grammar. At school, you just browse grammar books, never speak or listen to natives, so all that knowledge that you can get there, it's far from reality, and you will not be able to use it with natives like in talks. But there, they emphasize that you have to use this advanced vocab, advanced grammar, and by the way, your pronunciation has to be ideal, and the most important rule is no mistakes at all. In other words, school is about perfection. It's like that Instagram with all those filters and perfect lifestyle, which will never become a reality. But real life English is completely different. You learn it from natives by listening to them. You learn phrases that are used more often, and no matter whether that phrase is from advanced English or from A1, you practice your language by speaking and making mistakes, and you learn only that information that will really come in handy in the future. And as a result, you're not overwhelmed with all this learning, because firstly, you don't need to know everything. As I said, you learn only that info that you need, not just because someone said you to learn it. And secondly, you see how can you use this vocab, grammar in your day-to-day life. That's why if you were a pro in English at school, it doesn't mean that now you will be fluent in daily talks, because the only thing you know is a bunch of unnecessary vocab which you don't even know how and when to use. For instance, have you ever learned a phrase at school but never ever used it in daily life? And then you find out that actually natives don't use that. And furthermore, it even sounds awkward. They have their own version of saying this, which of course no one taught you at school. For example, I learned at school that there is breakfast, dinner, and supper. And each time when I was talking to natives, they were so confused with my supper, because like for them it's such a rare word, it's like those words from old books. No one uses them in daily life. Instead, they have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I just realized, oh my god, all this time I was convinced that they have supper, but actually it's dinner. And this is what school teaches you. Unnecessary words. Why do they do that? I don't know. That's just a system of middle and higher education. Practice over perfection. In learning any foreign language, practice always matters more than perfection, as you cannot sound perfect all the time. Like, it would be very exhausting. And plus, when you're so focused on the perfection, you don't pay any attention to the words that another person is saying, because you're so focused on that perfect response, and at the end it's not a normal communication. So your task is to make more practice, make mistakes, and analyze them. And don't forget to ask yourself, for what do I need advanced English? Is that my decision, or is that a desire of other people who think that when you speak using very and good, you're a loser and natives will be just like, bruh, are you okay? We don't use very and good anymore. We have 50 other versions and you don't know them? Natives don't care about usage of your grammar or vocabulary. Only language learners pay attention to that. One more point that I wanted to mention is that fluency is more about confidence than perfection. I'm sure you have seen people who had like very basic knowledge in a foreign language, even a couple of words, but they still went and talked to that stranger, and as a result they got what they wanted. It's like in life, fake it until you make it. That person whom you can describe as a very confident one can be really worried and anxious inside, but you can't say that because this person acts confidently no matter what. Until you say to someone that you're so worried about your English, no one will notice that. People will not evaluate you as a person by your English level. So just chill out and always remember, you need a language for communication, not for perfection, and for proving to someone that you're using advanced English. Like, who needs that? Everyone thinks about his own problems. That's all for today, guys. Thanks for watching this video. If you found it helpful, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. See you soon in my next videos. Bye!